Good afternoon. Hello, Georgette. How are you doing? I see that there's a couple more people on, but it doesn't tell me who. Hi, Rosie. If you're here, let me know where you're watching from and how your day is going. Hopefully, it is going well. Hello, Scrap Shots. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. Um, but having fun with this stuff. So I looked everywhere and I couldn't find a demo. And then I realized that it was an Easter Valentine demo that Tim Holtz did, and he only really just mentioned that it was a new product and he wasn't doing a demo on it right then. So I'm not going crazy. I knew I saw it somewhere, but I did look for some um, graphics, Durabright and Duralar. It's a company, graphics, and Ranger and Tim Holtz are working with them. So I did look for some demos, and there's some really fun demos that people have done. And we are just going to play around today. I'm glad you're having a good day, Rosie. Hello, Chantal from Red Deer. It's lovely and sunny out today, hey? Hello, Irene. How are you? So I thought we would just kind of play around. We can try some stuff if you guys have some questions. Yeah, the stuff that I've tried so far has been really, you know, easy to do, not difficult. Using, I've got alcohol pearls, I've got alcohol inks. Um, I did grab a snow cap mixative, and I guess the pearl mixative as well will work to get your alcohol inks to show up on the dark background. So I did see that there was some snow cap and some pearl in the store, but if it is sold out, you can just ask Sandy if she's going to be ordering some soon. And I did some stamping on this clear sheet. So these are 5x7 sheets. And just like the Yupo paper, I usually cut mine in half. So I cut it to be 3.5 by 5. And I find this is a really good card front size. So it gives me a good area to work on. And I don't think I need the whole thing. And then it doubles what I have to use. Here's just to give you a look at what I've kind of played around with so far. Hello, Lynn. On this one here, I used the snow cap mixative and then some alcohol inks. So you can see with that mixative in there, it brings out the ink. The ink itself is translucent, so if you just put ink on this, you're really not going to get anything to show up. But using that mixative, the snow cap or the pearl, then you're going to get that color to show in the background. As well, this is heat stable, so you can heat, and I put embossing powder on this on the top. I also used a paint pen. This was a Posca pen. It's just a paint pen that you can find anywhere, and I use that for a few little doodles. I've got this print shop stamp that I'm really liking, and I use that. There's two of them. These are great too for like a kind of doodle background. And I just embossed those with white embossing powder and that sentiment. So I thought that was really cute. This one here, I played around with alcohol pearls in the background, and then I did emboss over it. I don't know that I would emboss over the full thing. I think maybe a sentiment, but we'll play around with that. But you can see those pearls, how shimmery they are. And I think they show up better without this whole embossed piece, but I really do like this detail embossed area. So that is one of those new Pink Fresh stamps. And maybe we'll just try and put some alcohol inks over and just see what happens, because we're just playing around with these. But I think something like this is just a really nice background, and you layer on a sentiment and you've got just a great, it's so shiny, hey? Really great card. Let me see here. This one is called the Mixed Blooms, in case you're looking for this stamp in the shop. And then I stamped and heat embossed in black on the clear. We've got the detailed leaf, which is the Pink Fresh, and I just added the inks. So plain inks are going to show up on your clear, and this would be a really great background that you could then layer over. I think a something that's embossed would look really great, like one of those Spellbinders embossing folders that looks so fabulous. I don't know if I have one right here. Let me see. Sometimes I have one extra that I've kind of done. Not really this, but I don't think I'd use this in craft, although it doesn't look bad. But I think if you had an embossed background and then you have this really pretty cut leaf and then a sentiment on that, that would be beautiful. Or this, it's like an acetate embellishment. I did cut this out with the die. You do have to run it through a couple times, and I find that if you use a piece of cardstock under it, then it cuts better. You're not going to get a super detailed cut with the Duralar, just because it's a thick plastic, but I would probably just even take my scissors, so and trim around it either way. Thanks, Irene. This, Chantal, is the alcohol ink Duralar. So it's clear and transparent. And just to give you an idea of what they say on the background, you can use it with the alcohol inks, the pearls, the alloys, the mixatives. And I did use the alloy I actually used it in both of these. So we will add those as well. That's that really shiny metallic element. Hello, Cynthia. And it's clear. It's 110 pounds, so that gives you an idea that it's really nice and thick. It's not thin. It's going to really hold its shape. So if you cut out a bunch of these and use them for embellishments, like, they're not going to go anywhere. Oh, no problem. And it's non-porous, heat tolerant. So of course, if you hold the heat gun on it, it is plastic, so eventually it would melt. But I easily emboss these with embossing powder. I found with the black, it did curve a little bit while I was heating it, but then it went straight back to flat. And I think that I heard someone say that you can heat it and kind of mold it a little bit. I have not played with that. And so that's something that I will try. And it's transparent, of course, you can see through that. And for the black, it's called the Dura Bright, and it's black opaque matte. And then if you use the snow cap, the alcohol pearls, the alloys, and your blending solution, then that's going to show on this. And the same thing, it's heat tolerant and it's a smooth matte finish. So this is really fun that they've brought these out. This as well, if you had a background done with this, you could use this for a shaker be really cute, like a shaker card behind it. It comes just with this little piece of tissue paper, I think, to keep it so that it doesn't scratch against the other pieces. But it's completely clear. So on this one, I stamped on it with the detail black. And I did notice as well, if you love this, I love Pink Fresh detail black for stamping. I think it stamps really nicely. You can use it with watercolors and Copics, and you can use it on non-porous surfaces as long as you heat set it. So I stamped it on, and then I just gave it a little shot with the heat gun, and you can see like it's not moving. You could stamp a sentiment on that. And anyway, so they do have the refill for the ink pad, and that's in the Scrap Shotz store if you're looking for that. Yes, you love the flower, Irene. Yeah, I know. You are a big fan, and I'm sure Vicky appreciates that. So I thought with this we would, I can't remember which side I stamped. I think I stamped this side, but I thought maybe we'll try an alcohol ink on this side and see. I don't know if it would really matter or if it would even move that around, but we could test out both. We could test out both theories. I'm just going to see where. I don't know if I can tell. Anyway, okay, we'll try it both ways. So we'll move that over there. We'll just try a couple ideas. I trimmed this in half just with my cutter. It was very easy to cut. So let's trim the Dura Bright, the black, first. And if you guys did not hear, Vicky Bouton's black foundations paper is on its way. Cannot believe it. It's been, just looking for my trimmer. It's been kind of in the works for a long time, and all of a sudden it just showed up. So if you want to put your name down for that, you can look under the pre-order section. The foundations paper is totally different than this paper. This is for using with alcohol inks, and when the foundations paper does come, we definitely will be playing with that. So I'm just going to trim this in half. It trims very easily. Hello, Judy. Oh, it's shipping today. Perfect. Okay, and what we'll do first, let's see. Let's pick some colors, and we'll kind of do similar to what we did here. So we'll do that first. So for this one, I think that I used, no, I didn't use the pearls. I used the Ember, and I checked, and I think all these were in the shop, Glacier, and these are just the regular alcohol inks. But you can mix and match pearls and alcohol ink. And what else did I have? Maybe this yellow, I think. It really doesn't matter what you choose. They're all going to look beautiful. And Dijon. Oh, hello, Glenda. No worries. We're just starting. As well, Vicky's pre-order is up for the, I can't remember the name of it, her new travel line, Wear something, someone can remind me. That's in the pre-orders as well. It won't be shipping till like end of March, but if you love it, you probably want to get your name down for whatever it is that you're looking for. Did your parcel go in the mail yet? Irene says. Scrap Shotz, you can let Irene know. That's exciting. Happy mail. We are also going to grab the Snow Cap Mixative. So the alcohol ink, if it's just regular ink, not pearl or mixative, then you don't have to shake it because it's just the same color throughout. But something like the Snowcap Mixative, you want to shake. And I think normally this has a little ball in it, and I don't know if my little ball is stuck because I haven't used this for ages. I've had this probably for years. You ordered the collection? Yeah. Oh yes, so Irene, you can read Scrap Shot's message there. All right, so we want to give this a good shake because this has things all, mixed in with it. We also are using the blending solution. So first we're going to start off, and Glenda, if you didn't see, or anybody else who just popped in, we're using the new Dura Bright, and it's the black opaque matte, and it's new from Ranger and Tim Holtz. So I'm going to put a nice amount over the background. This is the blending solution. And then I'm going to, I don't know if there's a specific way that's better, and there's probably, like anything, lots of different ways to do this. So I'm just going to drop on some colors. And you can see, because the alcohol inks are translucent, you're not going to be able to see anything. Oh, good, Glenda. So we're going to drop them on, and it's not till we get that snow cap on there that we're actually going to be able to see. I can see just barely that color that I'm putting on. We could put the snow cap on first, that would work. I think I'm going to add the snow cap now, and then we'll do the ember after. And when we start mixing this around, you can see that snow cap mixes with this, and we can go ahead and add more after. But this kind of gets us started. And we don't want blobs of white. We want it nicely mixed. I'm also working on this glass mat, so it doesn't matter if things go off the edge. I think what I'll do is just put a little bit more blending solution on. And this is where we're going to start really getting that color moving around. Isn't that pretty? And then you get the varying, the lighter colors, and the white is still in there. Now when we add the red, we'll put the snow cap on first and just see if that makes a difference. But like I said, I don't think that there's a wrong way to do this. I think that you just experiment and see what you like. So let's put this on. I think we could probably even put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on there as well. I don't know how the rubbing alcohol reacts to the mixative, but we'll see. I know that you don't want to use rubbing alcohol on your alcohol pearls when it's wet, because it seems to make it go grainy. You only want to use the blending solution. But when they're dry, so that kind of takes on a whole new look when you put the snow cap on first. Look how bright that is. Isn't that nice? Hello, Rhonda. So if you put the snow cap on first and then the alcohol ink, it kind of turns that snow cap to whatever color. So if we decided that we wanted to have a little bit more blue and yellow, I'm just moving this around a little bit. The other nice thing is that this, because it's heat tolerant, you can go in with your heat gun if you wanted to be a lot quicker to dry it. I'm fine with it just kind of moving around there, and then at the end I would probably use my heat gun if I was going to emboss over it, just to make sure it was dry. So if I go, this is really just playing. I go in and add this on top, this is probably going to color any of those remaining white spots with the color of alcohol ink that I'm putting on there. Hello, Holly. So these were from, if you look, just trying to think of which, no, maybe they were individual in the store. I think the pearls, if you look for alcohol pearls, then the ones that show up as a set are the ones that I'm going to use, but we'll do those next. You know what? This is just alcohol, just rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to give this a spray and we're just going to see how it reacts. I really like using blending solution for moving things around, and then I feel like you get some really cool effects by adding the rubbing alcohol on top. So that's a pretty cool background right there. We could definitely keep moving things around and adding more. If we wanted to go in and add an alloy, so this is the foundry. Yeah, it's very interesting. So with the foundry or with the alloys, again, you want to mix that up. You can kind of hear that ball. Isn't that pretty? You can die cut these into, you know, not super detailed shapes, but like a basic shape. Now, I hadn't used this in quite a long time and it didn't really want to drip out and I squeezed it, and you should not do that. So if your alloy seems like it might be a little bit blocked, I would just wipe the tip with a little bit of rubbing alcohol and make sure you do it over an area that, you know, a box or something, because it really splatted. But that's the only time I've had something kind of splat like that. But I really, like, I was really pushing, and all you should have to do is really just kind of, you know, shake it and it'll come out. So that was just a little tip. If you have some alcohol on your background or on your mat, that's going to come right up with some rubbing alcohol after. You do want to use blending solution, not alcohol, not rubbing alcohol, on any of the alloys, because it needs the blender in the blending solution in order to keep it on your paper. Otherwise it will you'll find that you get some flaking. So it's kind of a binder. And this is like the nice thing about this is that you can really just keep going back and playing around with it. And I find with alcohol inks, I'll go in, I'll kind of, you know, do my basic thing, and then I'll sometimes just leave it for a little bit because I find it almost changes once it dries a bit. I feel like we should put a little bit more of something there. And you don't need much of those alloys, like a little tap really goes a long way. Hello, Sharon. I'm going to put a little bit more here. So I'm going to add the snow cap. Then I'm going to add my drop of, and you don't need to squeeze these, you just kind of hold them and they'll drop. And then a little bit of that blending solution, and so cool. And you can mix these colors. So, you know, when you see that blue going into the yellow, it's going to make green. When you see the blue into the red, that's going to give you a little bit of a purple. And you can add color until you feel like you're happy with that. I think that's very pretty. And you can see if we turn it, it's pretty wet. So what we're going to do is give it a little shot with the heat gun, and then we'll set it aside to make sure it's completely dry before we emboss on it. This is just to dry any of that wet blending solution or alcohol, because especially when you put embossing powder on, you don't want it sticking to all those areas that might be wet. And if you just set it aside for a bit, it will dry. It doesn't take long. Thanks, Rosie. So we've got this base alone, I think looks great. I think you could, have your sentiment straight across there and it would look beautiful. So let's just set that aside for a minute. We'll give this a little spray. If you have 90% alcohol, that's going to work a lot better with any of your alcohol inks, just because the lower concentration has more water in it. And you can see that wiped up really nice. Thanks. All right, so we've got our second black piece. On this one, let's do our alcohol pearls. So let's go with, we've got Opulence, Elixir, and Divine. These are just some that I grabbed, but there's a whole bunch that are in the store. And I like too that, these are things that we've had in our stash. I'm just going to shake this off camera so you don't need to watch me shaking it. These are things that we've had for a while. The alcohol inks have come out a while ago, but it's almost a new way to use them and to revive them. And it's always good to pull out those things that you already have. You can kind of look at the bottom. If you still see a little bit of that pearl sediment, you're going to want to keep shaking. And I usually shake these up really well before I use them. And then if they're sitting for a few minutes, I'll just shake them up again. It doesn't take much. So again, yes, Glenda, you can use blending and alcohol. And on the clear, we'll actually layer over some regular alcohol inks. We'll try that as well. And the pearls. So blending solution, that's definitely what you want to use when you're using the pearls. And this you're going to find gives you a really cool pearly finish. Now we could still use that snow cap mixative, and we'll see how this looks, and then we'll decide if we want the snow cap in there as well. And these just move around so beautifully, and I don't know if you can catch that on camera, but the shimmer is amazing. I definitely want a little bit more here. I'm just going to lift this up so you can see that shimmer. It's so gorgeous. All the new things in the store on the way. Yes. And I know Carnival is a little while away, but who's ever coming, we're starting to think about, make and takes and new product to bring in. So it's very exciting. I'm just adding a little bit more color And layering that over, and then we'll add. So let's do it like this, and then we'll add in the snow cap and see how it changes. Because this is just all about playing. I love this. I think that's so pretty. And this is the blower. I really would not do alcohol inks without the blower now. When it first came out, I thought, why would I need that? And the minute I used it, I knew that I had to have one. Okay, is that pretty or what? Not more new stuff. Look away. Thanks, Cynthia. How are you doing? Okay, so that is just the pearls. You can see it's a really nice pearly finish. It's fairly subtle, especially compared to the ink with the snow cap. I like it. I think it's very pretty. I think that you can emboss these as well. Let's try, oh, I know what I did. You know what, let's, instead of doing the snow cap, let's add in the alloy. So this is the rose alloy. I guess we could do both. I mean, there's not really any rules, specific rules. And these alloys are so fun because as soon as you add that blending solution on, it starts to spread them and you get this marbled kind of veiny look. And they like to go back together. It likes to kind of come back. So you can really create some fun looks. Okay, that's really fun with that alloy over top. And you can see how far that goes. I put 3 very small drops. Now, if we feel like we want a little bit more of that pearl over top, we can do that. And it kind of attaches almost to those pearls underneath, and you get a metallic shine with the pearls. Very pretty. Okay, if I wanted to add maybe a little bit of the blue right here, I'm just gonna, you can see how fast it settles, so just give it another little shake. You have the blower and have never used it? Oh yes, for sure. It is definitely a game changer, Glenda. I love how they kind of just spread. You really can't control alcohol inks, and I think it's a really great exercise in just letting go and enjoying the process. And even if you feel like it looks kind of weird, as soon as you layer something over top or you die cut something out of it, or sometimes if you just walk away from it and let it dry for a minute, it totally changes its look. Okay, I think I love that. I love the way that alloy kind of just made those metallic veins. So pretty. I think that would make a beautiful background. So let's wipe this up and then we'll go ahead and emboss over that one. I really like that look. And I think looking at this, I probably wouldn't fully emboss. I would probably emboss a sentiment. I don't think I'd emboss the whole thing because I love the look of this embossed. But I feel like it kind of takes away that really pretty effect of the pearls. Okay, let's clean up. I need to refill my bottle here. I find a little bottle of rubbing alcohol is great for cleanup for this stuff. It's great to wipe ink off your stencils. Okay, and I can see that this still looks a little bit wet. I really want to make sure that it's dry. Otherwise, the embossing powder is just going to stick to everything that's wet. And it might just be shiny, but I'm just going to give it a shot just to double check. Yeah, maybe it's just a little shiny from the ink. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly touch this to make sure. It seems to be dry, and because we are embossing, I'm just going to use my powder tool, and that will just prevent any embossing powder from sticking on the background that we don't want to stick on there. Let's move these a little bit out of the way. What's everybody been up to this week? I can't believe it's Thursday already. I think I say that every week, but honestly, it flies by. Okay, I've got this little piece of media grip mat in my stamp press, and I believe this is in the store as well. It was on back order for so long, and it's finally came in, and it's so great for lots of different things. But it just gives you that little bit of grip. If you're stenciling or if you're stamping, it's just nice. Okay, so say we wanted to, let's see. We'll do that doodle flower look. Hello, Jenny. How are you? I need to move this. There's just not enough room. I need to move this out of the way a bit. Okay, so we've got these cute flowers. There's some very cute stencils that Vicki has with her new Where to Next. That's what it's called, right? So let's put this on. We'll do, let's see here, we'll do this first. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And I've got some just regular white embossing powder. I've got some Versamark or whatever embossing ink you have will work. And just going to give it a nice press. And I did see that the Pink Fresh stamp press tool is now in the shop. It's very cute. I just stole a paddle from my kids' air hockey table, but it's not as cute as the Pink Fresh one. I have my eye on that. Okay, so we've got our embossing ink on here, and we're going to take a piece of paper, and I've just got some white. You just finished your print shop album from Vicky's class and created cards with Gina K from this SCT. Nice. Oh, nice. You haven't looked because you're trying to behave. Good idea, Cynthia. Yes, it is beautiful. Okay, yes, definitely have to watch the replay for sure. It's not hard. It is not hard at all. And Jenny, in case you didn't see, this is the alcohol pearl. And these are alcohol inks on and the snow cap ink. So there was a tiny bit that got stuck in there. I'm really not worried about that. It's kind of a doodly background, so it will be fine. Put this back in and over here so we don't accidentally knock that off, and then we'll add the rest of our stamping. So you'll see that it kind of bows a little bit when you're heating the embossing powder, but it goes back to being flat. But it's not like a piece of plastic that's going to warp and be crazy. All right. Then let's go in and we'll put on our other leaf and we'll do the happy day. And then maybe we'll do a sentiment on that other one. Just going to wipe this, give this a wipe. This is such a fun stamp. Okay, so we'll do this one. I'm going to draw in a stem. So I'll do that after. Some embossing pens. And you can use any powder that you have that is an opaque powder. If you used a translucent powder, you're going to get a shiny image, but you're not going to be able to see the stamped image bright like you could with white. I've got a blue here that we're going to use for the center of the flower. Okay. I find if I don't wipe my stamps and put them away, then I get to the end and I just feel like it's a hot mess. And this one is the Ranger white embossing powder. It's a nice, fine, detailed white. And I think Sandy has that in the shop. And there's, I think there's a Wow, maybe a Wow fine embossing powder. And those are both nice choices. If you find you have a little bit of stray powder, you can always take a paintbrush as well and just tap that off. The black paper is awesome. Just so that you could alcohol ink on black and then emboss over it. I think I love that. Okay, and let's go in with, this one is Turquoise Sparkle. This is a sample that I had. This was when they did the online carnival, we did a class, and this is in the shop, this Turquoise Sparkle, but you'll see how beautiful it sparkles. And it's one from Emerald Creek. Okay, let's grab, this is the one I use, these little dots, although this would be fun as well. You could try this one just to do something different. Try this little stamp here. So all these little circles fit inside these flowers. And you can use circles and flowers on anything, so you can definitely use them separate or together. I think this one would make such a great background on its own. I feel like this paper really takes the Versamark well. Like it seems to get a really nice impression. Okay, so this is the Emerald Creek Turquoise Sparkle, and this is in the store. And I could have put a little bit more of the powder, but actually it seemed to go on really nicely. I'm just going to stick that back in the bag there. Okay, let's heat that. And then I wanted to show you that you can also use the embossing pens. I need to move this. So is anybody planning on coming to the Calgary Carnival? Doing some shopping or some cropping? This is nice because it has a white in with it, and so it pops up nicely, or pops out nicely. Isn't that pretty? And I wanted to add a little stem, so I could do it with a pen, like I did here, or go in with the embossing pen. This is the Distress, the bullet one. I can never get the covers off these, I think, because I let them sit too long. But there's I think there's a Lawn Fawn, and there might be a Versamark one, and they all pretty much do the same thing. And I probably, now that I'm looking at this, I don't know that, like, I should have put this closer together. So I think drawing your stem in first might be a better idea. But we're just going to go with it. So I would probably draw my stem in first, and then I would be able to see where my leaves should go. But it's still okay, because it's kind of a doodly thing. And then you could add with your embossing pen, you could add details, or with a paint pen. And my heat gun. So there's our doodly kind of neat background. Now, if I wanted to take my Posca pen here and just add some little details, you can write right over top, and you still have that really cool black background. See, isn't that pretty? Oh, you're going to Moncton, Irene and Glenda. Nice. I hope you guys can catch up there. Okay, so that is our doodled background with the snow cap and the alcohol inks. Then this one going back to the alcohol pearls and the alloy, I would probably go in and let's see here, grab a sentiment. These Pink Fresh stamps have so many really great sentiments. This one here is the floral frame. Let me see exactly what it's called. Floral border. This would be beautiful too, I think, if you had the larger sheet of this and you stamped this on the whole background, and then you've got the outline embossed, but you still have all that color coming through in the center. That would be beautiful. Stamping something like "You Brighten Up My Day," and you could put that, you could stamp that on in a white, or you could stamp it on in like a gold or a rose gold powder. That would look very pretty too. And okay, so that is our pearl. Now let's go and have a look at the clear. So this is the clear. This is called Alcohol Ink Duralar, and it's the 5x7 clear transparent. Again, you've got heat tolerant. Use with any of your alcohol inks because you can see through it. You're going to be able to use your regular alcohol inks as well. I think, I can't remember which side I stamped on now that I stamped. However, what we're going to do is we are going to cut this so we do one on each side and just see if the inks react differently. So if we cut this apart, then we can also cut them out and just see if we're able to shape them. So this one, I'm going to flip over. And then this one we'll leave like that. And we'll be able to tell if it changes depending on where I stamped or not. So that was stamped with the Pink Fresh Detail Black and just heat set. So let's go in with some regular alcohol inks, and we can add the pearls on top as well. What do we got here? Okay, let me kind of separate these, the regular inks and the pearls. The alloy we'll put over here for a minute. Okay, just so I have an idea of what I'm doing. Let's go in with this one then. And we're going to add a little bit of blending solution. This is where I wasn't sure whether it would affect the stamped image, but I guess we'll find out. So alcohol ink, this is Glacier. And we've just got a pretty small area. We're kind of going for an acetate embellishment here. And this one is Laguna. It's beautiful. And then let's put just a tiny bit of the Dijon. Because you can always come back and do things over it. Isn't that pretty? Now thinking about your colors, if you added some purple, or sorry, some red, you're going to get like a purple. So this alone is just beautiful. And you get that really, need something white to put behind this. Get that beautiful alcohol ink background. Hello, Lorraine, how are you? But then we can keep going if we want. We could add more layers of color. We could go in with one of our pearls. So this one is the Divine. And we'll just give this a shake. And we'll add this. And can you see how shimmery and shiny that is? So pretty. And then we'll put a little bit of the blending solution over top. And then we can move that around. Some really cool effects. And then you get those layers of the inks drying. I think I would come back in and add a little bit more of my, maybe this one here. This is just the regular, the Glacier. And we'll move that around. And if your pearls are dry, then you can add some regular ink. Now, because I added that pearl, it's not quite as translucent as the regular alcohol inks. And I don't want to spray this because I don't want it to completely remove. If you didn't like this and you just wanted to wipe it off, you could just spray it with alcohol or the blending solution and you could just wipe it off. It's hard to see without something. So you can still see that flower in the background. You've got some really cool layers. Let's dry that and we'll cut it out. And then we'll just, I don't know. I haven't thought through this. I just want it wet so that I don't get out, or I want it dry so that I don't get ink all over me when I'm cutting it out. And I also thought it would look really cool on the other side. Okay, that feels pretty dry. I know that you probably can't see this. Maybe there you can see it. I'm just trimming around this, and even though it is pretty thick, you can still cut it out nicely with some sharp scissors. If you're fussy cutting things, the best idea is to just keep moving your paper instead of the scissors. And I'm just cutting a little bit outside of the line. I don't think you need to be super duper right on the line, especially with this stamp. It's kind of a sketchy stamp. That looks pretty. With this one, we'll just do the inks and not the pearls and see if we get a better result. And I also thought if we heat it up and it starts to get a little softer, maybe we can mold it a little bit. I don't know. But I also don't want to burn my fingers. Like if you had a butterfly, I think, and it's not super hot, like I can still touch it. I think we could make it a little hotter. I think I'm going to have to experiment with that a little bit more. Okay, you can see how you can see it curling a bit. So if you had a butterfly and then, oop, that's hot. You are going to, yeah, just be careful when you have your tweezers. Move its wings. I think that would be really cool. So that, I don't know that I'd necessarily do it with this flower, although it kind of does look kind of neat. If you had a background, mixed media background, and then a bunch of these flowers glued on, I think it would look cute, cool. If you left it straight, you could then add, I mean, we really had to heat that to get that to move like that. But if you added, left it flat, then you could add your stamp in the center. You could add some details with embossing powder if you wanted. But I think that's kind of cool. Or if you had some leaves like that with some dimension, that would look very neat. So let's try this one and see, just make sure that nothing moves around. Nothing moved on that. So we'll see if it moved on this. I couldn't really tell which side I stamped on, but if it doesn't move either way, we'll know that it doesn't matter. So this one is Dijon, and then this one is Ember. And let's kind of just see what we get with this, because these are going to mix and they're going to make orange. And I kind of like this. Like, we added a lot more on top and we added some pearls, but I almost like it just like this. Isn't that pretty? Just have this really cool alcohol ink background. So if we wanted to freeze that, just dry it. We like it. We want it to dry. I'm going to give that a shot with the heat gun. And then we have this really pretty, I think I like that. I would do that, I think, rather than adding a lot of layers. Even though that looks cool, I think you could even put this in the center. I think I like the look of that. So if you had a whole background sheet that was stamped like the frame, or if you used this one and you stamped the whole background. Where did my stamp go? Okay. If you stamped the whole background and then you did the different colors all throughout, I think that would look beautiful. So that is really pretty. Then you could definitely put this on something and have like a little bit of a shaker. Zoom out. Underneath, it would look really pretty as well. And here is one that I embossed first. So instead of just stamping, I heat embossed, and then I drop the alcohol inks on. And I think that looks beautiful as well. So you can definitely go in, cut this out, and then you've got this really pretty floral embellishment. Or you do your background and add a square on that you've got alcohol inked. And then of course you can layer your sentiments on, you can stamp them on paper, or you have that option to heat emboss. And you could play around too. If you were just doing a background and didn't have stamping on it, you could definitely, add in those pearls, add in the alloys, and have a whole background with that. Yeah, the leaf I love. I love that black embossing powder on there, it really, really adds the detail, and the alcohol inks went right over it. So that is a look at some of the things that you can do with the Duralar and Durabright alcohol ink papers. I also wanted to mention Sandy got this in the Scrap Shot store. It's from Stamperia, and it's the Cola Extra Fort. So it's the strong glue, and I used that to glue this because it's smooth. It's pretty smooth, and I used it to glue it onto the cardstock background, and it worked really well. It's a really great, really strong liquid glue if you're looking for it. So that is it for today. I don't even know what time it is, 2:07. That hour just flies. And yeah, hopefully you'll have fun if you see this in the shop and decide to play with it. Just have fun playing. You can share in the Scrap Shots paper crafting group. We've got the mixed media challenge on all month, so this would be a really fun thing to try and share in the group. But anything that you make that's mixed media, and mixed media doesn't have to be all the paints and all the inks. It can be, watercoloring. Mixed media is just, two or more different kinds of things, media. So as easy or as crazy as you want to get, we would love to see it. And then there's a $25 gift card that will be drawn at the end of the month. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for stopping in. I don't think there's anything else. That Vicky Booten pre-order, the foundations paper, and of course just keep an eye on the newsletter. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, you can go to the Scrap Shots blog, and on the top right you can enter your name, and we always try to keep everybody updated on any sales or what's going on weekly there and what's on the blog as well. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. And I hope you guys have an awesome week and have some fun this weekend, just doing something that you enjoy doing. I will talk to you later, guys. Bye.